What's going on, amigos? I hope everyone's having a great day. So in today's video, I wanted to showcase what I think is the strongest Twisted Blades rogue build that you can run currently. As always, if you guys enjoy the content and want even more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like the video. It is greatly appreciated. It helps me out a ton. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at it. So first of all, I have a Paragon point that I haven't allocated. We'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so Twisted Blades. This is honestly my favorite build. So first off, Puncture. We run Puncture into Enhance into Fundamental. So Twisted Blades, our main source of damage. This is our main skill. We do still run Advanced Twisted Blades. It helps with cooldowns. Even through the nerf, I think this build is really good. With our aspect that we use, it really is a boomerang. The knife comes back to us and it twirls. You'll see it in the footage. We run Sturdy for 12% damage reduction from close damage reduction because we're always close. We're just diving in the packs, melting them all. It's pretty fun. Siphon and Strikes, we heal every time we crit. So we run Shadow Step. This is our main source of break and CC. It makes us unstoppable. This is a lifesaver. We also run Methodical Shadow Step to stun enemies when we hit them with Shadow Step. So this is great just to stack up those conditional affixes. We run Maxed Out Weapon Mastery. I have 6 points in here because I have +3 on an amulet. What a sick roll. We'll look at that in a minute here. We run Dash. Primarily, this is just the best mobility skill in the game. Let's be honest, it's like the only mobility skill in the game, but that's besides the point. So we run Dash. We also run the modifier to increase our crit strike, which is huge. So enemies that are damaged by Dash, when we dash through a group of enemies for 5 seconds, they take 15% increased crit strike damage. They also get slowed. If we double dash, which we dash through twice is what I mean, they get dazed. On the first hit they slow, on the second they get dazed. So just an additional source of crowd control and to stack more of those conditional affixes. We don't run Dark Shroud. Yes, we do not run a defensive layer. It is okay, I promise. We do run 3 points in Exploit, deal 18% increase to healthy and injured. You can see under there, healthy means more than 80% of their life, injured 35% or less. We run 3 in Malice. We deal 9% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Everything we hit is inflicted with vulnerability. That's primarily because of our glyph that we run. But here we run Shadow Imbuement. Shadow Imbuement is amazing. This thing, it is the source of all of our damage with our explosions. We chain explosions, so every time we mark something with Shadow Imbuement and it dies, it explodes, marking another target, marking another. See what I'm going with this? So it's just a domino effect. Blended Shadow Imbuement is what I was talking about earlier. Every time that primary explosion from when you kill that enemy, that chains, it inflicts vulnerability for 2 seconds to everything around. Enhanced Shadow Imbuement, we get 15% increased crit strike chance against injured enemies, which is just basically great for executing to making sure that we are killing that enemy so they can chain explode. We take 1 point in the Shadow Crash, which is just a real nice lucky hit chance. We don't put any more points into this, just the 1 point is enough. It has a chance to stun. That is our defensive layer. It's just being able to stun, dash, daze, CC, blow everything up. Consuming Shadows, we max this out because every time we kill an enemy with shadow damage, we generate energy. We run 3 points in the Precision Imbuement. It's just imbued skills, aka our Shadow Imbuement. For those 2 hits, it has 9% increased crit strike chance. I take 1 point into Intervention, 10% chance to gain 8 energy. It's a lucky hit, rather. It's just good. You just need 1 point in there. 3 points in the Trap Mastery. When Poison Trap or Death Trap activates, you gain 12% increased crit strike chance against vulnerable and crowd-controlled enemies for 4 seconds. We're always inflicting vulnerability. We're always crowd-controlling for the most part. And we run Death Trap. So Death Trap really is crazy. With Prime, enemies are pulled into Death Trap, so it's great for grouping. For Supreme, if we kill an enemy, its cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds. So the primary focus around this build is to make sure that Death Trap and Shadow Imbue are just being constantly spammed. It's really, really nice. We take 1 point into Adrenaline Rush, which is 5% increased energy regen while moving. We are constantly moving, whether we're Shadow Stepping, dashing, sidestepping to twirl our blades a little bit. which you'll see in the clips again. While at or above 50% max energy with haste, we gain 5% increased movement speed, while below 50% max energy, 5% increased attack speed. This is just good, just a little good passive to have. We take 1 point into impetus. After moving 15 meters, your next attack deals 7% increased damage. If I pronounce this word wrong, do not make fun of me in the comment section. I'm joking, you can make fun of me, I don't care. For our Keystone passive, we use Exposure. Dealing direct damage to an enemy affected by a trap skill has a 25% chance to, one of two things, reduce the active cooldowns of your trap skills or whatever. The big thing here is we wanted to reduce the active cooldowns of our trap skills by 20%. So, going on into Paragon. Starting off with Paragon, my Paragon mapping is bad right now, mainly because I'm still leveling glyphs. It takes so long to level glyphs. Combat isn't even what I want here, okay? I want closer. That is the glyph that I want in here in my first starting area, but I couldn't do that until I leveled up to 15. Blizzard, please reduce that. Leveling up a glyph to level 15 to increase the radius is absurd. Anyways, combat. This is what I'm using right now. For every 5 intelligence purchased within range, core skills deal 2.4% increased crit strike damage. And then the additional bonus, if the requirements are met, which they are, skills that critically strike restore 12% of their energy cost. This just helps me crit more, or not crit more, but crit harder, and just restore energy cost so I can spam more. Definitely go for Prime. And for whatever reason, if you're playing Rogue, prioritize intelligence. You need a lot of intelligence to hit these bonuses on rare nodes. So we go Prime, 20% max damage. We come up here for more, 20% max damage. See that? More intelligence. We went with No Witnesses. Your ultimate skills deal 30% increased damage and grant you 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. We took the Ruin, which is damage to healthy enemies and crit strike damage. We came up here and took the Knowledge, more damage. More damage. No, that's life. But you can see the theme here. Just life, damage. But the glyph, our second glyph, this is the important glyph. This is the most important glyph of the build, I feel, is Exploit. This allows us to, when anything is damaged, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds. If this was leveled up, it'd be, you know, I'd have another 5-6% maybe. But my third board is Cheap Shot, which I'm starting to allocate down here. Let's go here. But the rare node next to the glyph socket is Devious, damage to crowd control enemies. As I said earlier, we're always crowd controlling, whether we're shadow stepping or dashing in and out. And then the third node that I took for here is Turf. I love the 10% damage reduction against close enemies for the additional bonus, but we also gain damage to close enemies, which is huge. But here I'll just run a quick Iron Hold to showcase the build so people know that I'm not just bullshitting, which now that I said that, I'll probably die. What'd I say? So let's go over the gear real quick. For the helmet, we have basic skills, grant 20% damage reduction for 5.5 seconds. This is of the Might. On my helmet, I have +3 shadow imbuement, max life, int, and cooldown reduction. I have Mangler's Warlord plate. This has fizz damage, cutthroat skill damage, armor, and max life. Edge Masters on my gloves. I don't have a good roll. This is just a flat 10% from the codex. You can unlock this through a dungeon, but it does have a massive amount of crit chance, has massive amount of strength, willpower, and 4 ranks to Twisting Blade. On my pants, these are another item that I really want to upgrade, but I have flat damage reduction, a lot of damage for 4 seconds after killing an elite, and a ton of life, 1,000 life. But these are the cheats. You take 18% less damage from crowd controlled enemies, and then whenever a crowd control enemy deals direct damage to you, you gain movement speed. The boots, these are shared misery boots. They have max evade charges, which I absolutely need on my boots. I will not run anything else. I have a lot of movement speed, energy cost reduction, some dex. These boots are amazing. Speaking of amazing, I also have this weapon 810. This is just a stat stick for us. 2-hand crossbows. Always run crossbows. Do not run bows. You run crossbows for the vulnerable damage. The implicit. I have 60% because it's fully upgraded. I also have crit damage and crit damage with imbued skills, a massive amount of dex, and damage to crowd controlled enemies. For 2-handers, I run the rapid, which is basic attack, gain 15 to 30%, in this case 22% attack speed. This has close, slowed, crit damage, and core, all 4 major abilities. This is a great sword. I have this rare sword, vulnerable, damage to crowd control, damage to close, and dex. I'm actually trying to roll the dex for another scaling affix because I feel like I have too much dex right now. There's other things I can take. Rings, I have this ring, which is just here for the crit chance and vulnerable damage, but this is of the Umbral. Restore 2 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. When we dash through an enemy, this is just another source of just making sure we're always pretty much capped out on energy. Accelerate and loop, crit strikes with core skills, increase attack speed. This has crit chance, damage to close, vulnerable, and max life. This ring is also incredible. Amulet of Disobedience. I put Disobedience on this amulet because I had a maxed out one that I found. So I get 0.75% every 4 seconds, stacking up to 75% armor. Disobedience is one of the best, if not the most broken legendary powers in the entire game. But this amulet is also pretty broken. I have 14% cooldown reduction, 23% energy cost reduction, and +3 ranks to weapon mastery. Specializations is the last thing. I run preparation. Every 100 energy you spend reduces your ultimate skill cooldown by 4 seconds. Using an ultimate skill resets the cooldowns of your other skill. So the way that this works is once you pop Death Trap, what you engage, normally you would hit your shadow imbuement and then drop your Death Trap, which then resets your shadow imbuement, but you still have 2 charges up. So waste your 2 charges, pop shadow imbuement again. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little showcase here. Maybe it made you make the choice of which build to run. I am going to be working on a PvP build as well, just a normal poison trapper build, and starting to do PvP content on the channel as well. So let me know in the comments down below if you would like that. And until next time, amigos, take care.